guys, what's up? This is Angelo and I'm here to teach you the basics of volleyball. On my first video, we will see how I train my players on my volleyball team. On my second video onwards, I have Jonathan Neely as my instructor on Salt Lake City. So sit back, relax, and watch how I play.
5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know him. Fuck him, it's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. So when he puts it down, Todd's picking it up. Let's go.
Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about basic rules while playing volleyball. A rally is started when a player on one side serves the ball, so the rally has to be started with a serve. The serve cannot be contacted with two hands. After the serve, a team is allowed no more than 3 hits on their side of the net. The same player cannot hit the ball 2 times in a row unless it's off of a block. As far as the boundaries are concerned, when you look at the court, the lines surrounding the court are in play. So if the ball hits the line, that is in. The antenna, which should be on either sideline of the volleyball court, that is considered out if the ball runs into the antenna or if the ball travels over the antenna. Volleyball players are not allowed to run into the net. Volleyball players cannot run underneath the net. You just need to make sure that you are staying on your side, working with your team to try to end the rally on the other side of the court. Again, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City, talking to you about basic rules. Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about special hits in volleyball. There's 3 specific special hits that I want to talk about. The first special hit is a back row attack. In volleyball, you have your back row players who are allowed to spike the ball, but they can't do it in front of what we call the 10-foot line or the 3-meter line. So in volleyball, if a back row player wants to spike the ball, they need to take their approach behind the 10-foot line. They need to make sure that they're jumping behind the 10-foot line. They can spike the ball and land in front of the 10-foot line as long as they do not take off in front of it. The next special hit I want to talk about is a pancake. A pancake is when a defensive player is staying low to the ground in defensive position, knees bent. They want the weight on the toes, ready to move forward. The pancake is when a player dives, contacts the ball with their hand, make sure that their hand is flat on a hard surface. The pancake is effective when the ball hits off the hand and bounces high enough for another player to contact the ball. The pancake is an emergency move and shouldn't be used if the ball can be passed with the forearms or with a fist. The third special contact that I want to talk about is a tip. A tip is most effective if a player is going up against a really big block on the other side. A tip is used when a player takes 3 of their fingers, tips the ball with their fingertips up over the block, not too high, but just barely over the block, and have it land somewhere in the middle of the court. Again, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City, talking to you about special hits in volleyball. Hey, this is Johnny Neely, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to play defense in volleyball. On a team, there's different ways that we can play defense. The first line of defense is the blockers. The second line of defense would be the back row players, those individuals who are primarily in the game to dig spikes that get past the block. For a back row player, again, when we want to play defense, we want to make sure that we're low, our weight is on our toes, and we're ready to move forward. We want to make sure that when we react to the ball, our first move can be forward, and our last resort would be behind our head. A lot of the points scored in volleyball are in the first 2/3 of the court, so we want to make sure that that's the area that we cover on defense. A player, when they dig the ball to the setter, they want to make sure that they try to get the ball really high and off the net so that we don't overpass. We try to get the ball 20 feet high in the air, 10 feet off the net. player is ready, in ready position, when a spike comes over from the other net, make sure that they're low. Dig the ball high, make sure that it's off the net. There are different forms of defense that a player may utilize. One may be a dive, a sprawl, a pancake. Some emergency moves that players may utilize would be a chuck with their hands or a tomahawk. This is Johnny Mealy, volleyball coach in Salt Lake City, talking to you about how to play defense. Hey, this is Johnny Mealy, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to block a volleyball. Again, one of the most important things for a blocker to do is to be ready. So ready position for a blocker, we want to make sure that the knees are bent. We want to make sure that your elbows are in, your hands are in front of your face, in between the net and your face. A blocker needs to be ready to move, either ready to move to their left, ready to move to their right. As soon as they see the setter set the ball is when they react. So the blocker is ready, in their ready position with their knees bent and the elbows in. When they block, a blocker wants to make sure that they jump straight up and straight down. We don't want to drift from one direction to the other. As a blocker jumps, we want to make sure that they jump, shrug their shoulders to get optimal height, penetrate over the net, make sure that their hands are nice and big. When we block, we want to make sure that our hands are pointing to the middle of the court. A lot of times players on the opposing team will try to hit the ball into the blocker's hands to try to make it go out of bounds. So it's important for a blocker's hands to be a little less than ball width apart, facing the middle of the court on the opposing side. If a blocker has to move one way or the other, there's different footwork patterns. There's a few different patterns. I'm going to talk to you about two basic ones. First footwork pattern I want to talk to you about is the two-step shuffle. If a blocker is going to their left, they start with their left foot. If a blocker is going to the right, then they start with their right foot. If I'm blocking and I want to go to my left, a two-step shuffle, one step with the left, a closing step with the right, then the blocker will jump up. So a live look of that block would look like this. To the right, a two-step shuffle will look like this. If the set is pushed a little bit further out and a two-step shuffle isn't going to cover enough ground, blockers will utilize a swing blocking technique, which will generally use 3 steps. Again, a blocker will start with the foot of the direction they're going. If a blocker is going to the left, they start with their left foot, another step with the right, they're going to close with their left foot, they're going to jump up and block. Going to the right, a blocker will start with their right foot, again with the left, close with the right, jump up and block. A live look at that block would look something like this. To the right. Again, we don't want to drift from one way or to the other because that takes out other blockers. It's important to jump straight up and down. This is Johnny Mealy, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I talked to you about how to block a volleyball.